As a network and as a radio show, our deepest condolences to the Green Bay Packer Nation and the Philbin family. A body pulled from a river in Oshkosh, Wisconsin on Monday has been identified as a 21-year-old Michael Philbin, son of the Packers offensive coordinator Joe Philbin. Unspeakably sad news, and there is no organization in American sports, the entire landscape, that is more family-based than the Green Bay Packers. It is so sad, and I can only imagine the grieving process. Clay Matthews is joining us. Not a great spot for us to start, but Clay, how do you guys grieve with a playoff game, a couple of days away?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, like you had mentioned, this is a terrible tragedy, and being that the Packers organization is truly a family-first environment, we feel for the Philbin family, and I think it goes without saying that this game and how we approach it and how we play will definitely be dedicated to him, and hopefully we do it the right way.
Well, by the way, it's one of 6 kids in that family of Joe and Diane. He was the second oldest, and again, our condolences from both Clay and I and the show here at ESPN Radio go out to that family. Clay, Green Bay is a small town, but you guys have been, for the last about year and a half, the NFL rock stars. And, Clay, it is hard to be a target. Last year, you weren't a target. Is it different going into the playoffs, Clay, and you've got that, sign on you that everybody's pointing at the Packers?
The great thing about it is we've had that sign on us all year, and we've been able to get by with a 15-1, a pretty impressive record. And with that being said, obviously last year, we had to win to move on, and, we had to win our last 2 regular season games, and obviously in the playoffs, win to move forward. And this year we're fortunate enough to lock up the playoffs early on, get a first-round bye, but that sense of urgency hasn't left. And we understand what it takes, to win it all, especially with all the injuries and everything we had to overcome last year that, now that everybody's healthy, now that we're well-rested, that sense of urgency is still here, and we're ready to do it again.
So you like the week off, Clay?
Oh, absolutely. I think, obviously there's critics going to say, you'd like to keep momentum and continue to play so that way there's some continuity between the team. But, with that being said, you saw how we showed up after the off-season lack of workouts. You saw how we show up after the bye week this year and when we've had some time off after Thanksgiving games, and we responded well. We've got a bunch of guys who understand what we want to accomplish. Nobody here has feel they arrived, and, we're hungry.
How good on film is Eli Manning?
Oh, the Falcons is a perfect example. What he's been able to do, not only this last game, but overall this whole year is pretty impressive, especially with the receiving group that he has. They've got something going, something special, and obviously they've been able to rack off a few wins lately, so they're definitely the hot team, getting a lot of buzz and media attention, and we understand that. So they're going to be coming here, feeling great about themselves, riding high, but, we still got a good team of our own and a good quarterback of our own. So, we'll see come Sunday.
Of all their impressive targets, who are you most responsible for this Sunday on the Giants?
Me personally?
Yeah.
Our team. Me personally, my job is to get after the quarterback, but, if I am dropping out, I could be matched up against anyone, really. The unique thing about my job is that I could be running vertical with Victor Cruz in the slot. I could be matching up on Hakeem Nicks, covering Bradshaw, or, taking Ballard, on a 7 route. So it's pretty unique, and they ask us to do a lot, but that's what's so special about this defense.
When, the Giants historically have been a pound-it football team, but yet they got Victor Cruz and Eli gets rid of the ball quickly. When you look at the Giants, are they a power team? Are they a finesse team? Are they a hybrid? What are they on film?
Well, I think they have the luxury of picking and choosing. Obviously, when you have receivers, like you and I had just mentioned, it's easy to throw the ball up to them and create some yardage. At the same time, when you got a bruiser like 27 and you got a shiftier scat back like Bradshaw, it obviously creates some problems as well. So, really just it depends on the flow of the game, and, our game plan headed into each and every week is stop the run and get after the quarterback. So if we can do that, we should have a successful day.
Clay Matthews, Packers linebacker via the Subway Fresh Take Hotline. What was your big takeaway as you prep for the Giants for a second time, having beaten them in Jersey? What was your big takeaway flying home after beating them the first time?
Well, we realize that they're a very good team, very talented. Yet at the same time, We made a lot of mistakes that game. It was, we had just watched the film as a team yesterday, and it was hard to watch with all the big plays they completed, all the first downs, touchdowns, plays that we just gave up. And we take away a few of those plays, and the game is out of hand, and we've got an easy victory. So with that being said, we just need to correct up, the little mistakes, the missed tackles and missed assignments, and we've proven that we can be, a top 5 defense. Obviously, our offense is rolling, but if we continue to improve, especially moving forward, which we need to, it should be very tough beating us.
Giants-Packers, 4:30 Fox on Sunday. Tom Brady said he doesn't like watching other games. It freaks him out. How much of the other games do you watch?
I tend to catch a little bit of the games, but more so watch this Giants-Falcons game just to see, who we're playing. But obviously, when I'm watching, I'm more a fan, just like to see what's happening around the league. And, then I really dial in once I start watching the game film on my own. So, as a fan of football, I can't get enough. I watch, everything from high school to professional. It doesn't bother me or freak me out. But at the same time, you got a task in hand, and that's to be a player first and foremost.
You like watching Tebow?
How can you not, right? With that overtime victory, he's doing something special out there.
No, he is. Clay, good luck to you and the Packers. And USC's got their act together now. All is good in the Clay Matthews family.
I appreciate it. Thanks a lot, Colin.